cautious. So I always say, ask a doctor. If you don't have a doctor, ask an athlete.
Big picture, take care of the ankle, make sure he's 100% going into the playoffs.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean how bad is the play by Sabonis, to be clear. Sorry if I wasn't clear on that. I meant how bad did the injury thing. When you see that, how bad did that look to you?
No, it did look bad. I mean, obviously Sabonis didn't mean to twist his ankle, whatever, but he did come back in the game. I think you'd be very cautious with him.
For the 2 seed, so they're locked into where they are. So as a team, how do they handle a sprained ankle for Tatum? It looked fairly bad.
Well, the remarkable thing about Jason Tatum is he hasn't missed consecutive games all season. He's only missed 6 all year here, and I think where they are, they're locked in, as you said, in number 2. New York is not catching. They're not going to catch Cleveland. I do think you have to be cautious because I think you got to get into the playoffs in one piece. That's the end goal as far as, and I think you can win around with Jason Tatum if you had to be there, but I do think get to mid-April one piece, even if he's not in there right now.
Look, I mean, the second round of the playoffs is a very long way off. So the idea that we're talking about that even almost seems a little ridiculous. But hopefully we're nowhere near that as far as this injury is concerned. But the reality is, as we say, they're going to cruise through the rest of the regular season, wind up where they are. First round of the playoffs, they're going to get the 7 seed, whoever it is that comes out of that play-in. With no disrespect to those teams, the Celtics can handle any of them. So the next time they are in any sort of desperate position is, from this point forward, something in the vague vicinity of 2 months away.
Yeah, I agree. And also, they got so many guys.
Right.
We're talking about Porzingis is back. Brown is there. They have Holiday. They have White playing at a high level. They got Pritchard had a 40-point game a month ago. Like, they're cooking, and they're playing great defense. Even Al Horford, who I played against back in the day, is still playing
right. At a high level.
At a high level.
Yeah.
They got bodies over there.
So, again, is this something to be concerned about? Probably not. Is it something worth keeping an eye on? Most definitely so. In the meantime, the game of the night last night, or at least the most interesting game, I thought, was Lakers Magic. And you got LeBron, you got Luka, you got Dwight Howard, who was there being honored, being inducted.
Playing at a high level. They got Pritchard had a 40-point game a month ago. Like, they're cooking, and they're playing great defense. Even Al Horford, who I played against back in the day. Austin Reeves is so good, guys. As a third option, phenomenal.
It's a great dish to LeBron. Lakers have the early lead. And then, Bobby, watch Luka Doncic, little jab step. He had 21, most definitely so. In the meantime, the game of the night last night, or at least the most interesting game, I thought, was Lakers Magic. And you got LeBron, you got Luka, you got Dwight Howard, who was there being honored, being inducted into the Magic's Hall of Fame. Let's pick this up in the first quarter. How about this pass, Booze, from Austin Reeves? In the back, let's take another look.
Austin Reeves is so good, guys. As a third option, phenomenal.
It's a great dish to LeBron. Lakers have the early lead. And then, Bobby, watch Luka Doncic, little jab step. He had 21 in the first half.
You know, that was a sign for bad things to come because we saw a ton of ISO ball last night, certainly in that third quarter when things went awry.
Yeah, that's Doncic to LeBron there, and they have a 2-point halftime lead. But to your point, this is when things went awry from a Laker perspective. Franz Wagner happened. He had a very big night, 32 points for Wagner. That's where the Magic took the lead in the third, and then they just opened it up. Paolo Banchero with a 3. Magic outscored the Lakers 34-18 in the third, and then fourth quarter, they've cut it to 2, but 1 game behind the Nuggets for third in the West. Here is what Luka had to say about this recent skid.
I think we just got to look back at the way we play on the 8-game winning streak. You know, we're physical. We play hell of a defense. And I think we just got a little bit satisfied, so we can't afford that right now.
Go on to win it by 12. So the Lakers have lost 3 games in a row now. They've all come by double digits. Overall, they've been outscored by 72 points during the streak. They remain 1 game behind the Nuggets for third in the West. Here is what Luka had to say about this recent skid.
I think we just got to look back at the way we play on that 8-game winning streak.
Points in the paint to the Bulls, 146 points. Last night they had a 41-15 stretch where Orlando just took the game over, ran away with it, had a nice 10 or 12-point cushion.
All right, so Booze, we do something on the show that we call bad game or bad sign. This is now 3 straight losses, so we'll call it bad stretch or bad sign for the Lakers.
I got bad stretch. I mean,
I bet it's fixable here. And because they showed you when they defend, they can win at a high level. First in defensive efficiency in that stretch of games, 20th since March 2nd here. And if you're not going to defend, you're going to lose in the first round. But that's the small margin for them. Either you can bounce in the first round or you can get to a Western Conference Finals. Minus 46 in transition points allowed the last 3 games. And if you're not getting back on defense, you're not talented enough. As good as Luka and LeBron are, the surrounding parts are not talented enough offensively for you to have a lapse like that.
So Booz, I haven't had you here since this trade, which obviously was of seismic proportion, kind of shook up the entire league when it happened. So from sort of a 35,000-foot view, LeBron plus Luka in L.A., what does that mean? How good can this team be?
Awesome. I mean, great move by Rob Pelinka getting Luka there. He's 25 years old. He's a first-team All-NBA player every year.
Luka and LeBron are. The surrounding parts are not talented enough offensively for you to have a lapse like that.
So Booz, I haven't had you here since this trade.
It's the rest of the pieces. Austin Reeves has been an outstanding third piece to me. I think he's dynamic. I think he's untouchable as far as being traded. And the rest of those guys, if Rui can get back to playing as well as he was, Vanderbilt defensively, I love what Hayes has done since he's been there. He's been a very formidable big for them. The rest of the pieces can figure it out. These two guys can play together.
Hey, look, styles make fights, and this first round in the Western Conference playoffs, it's just going to be about the matchups. It doesn't matter. The numbers next to the teams aren't going to wind up mattering that much outside of OKC.
Well, I'll say something just because I went.
Standing third piece to me. I think he's dynamic. I think he's untouchable as far as being traded. And the rest of those guys, if Rui can get back to playing as well as he was, Vanderbilt defensively, I love what Hayes has done since he's been there. He's been a very formidable big for them. The rest of the pieces can figure it out. These two guys can play together.
Hey, look, styles make fights, and this first round in the Western Conference playoffs, it's just going to be about the matchups. It doesn't matter. The numbers next to the teams aren't going to wind up mattering that much outside of OKC.
Well, I'll say something just because I went looking back into my days in New Jersey. Like, I would almost rather have the Lakers be the 6th seed than be in that 4-5 range and face Oklahoma. I know we're looking ahead, but to avoid Oklahoma City in round 2, to basically get your shot at Houston or maybe even Memphis or Denver in that 3-6. I know they haven't played well against Denver, but I think I would rather go that way than be in that 4-5 range. Even if they can win games on the road.
Right.
They can win games on the road. They've shown that just to avoid that 4-5 matchup.
Look, you can't really gerrymander your seat as much as you want. Let's see where the chips wind up falling. I want to show one more thing, Cindy. Can we put up 838 because Booz
Clement put his fingerprints on the game and get buckets and get to the line, whatever that case may be. Throughout the rest of the game, it feels like he's facilitating, and then his offense is a secondary. And maybe he's even deferring a little bit to LeBron James, which we've seen that by other players that played next to him as well. But I will say that for them to go far, he's going to have huge fourth quarters.
There was a stretch in that third quarter when the game got away where, as Booz said, he deferred. As far as there was a couple plays, he had 2 guys in the corner looking for guys, passed the ball there, missed three-pointer. That led to transition baskets. And I think to that point, he kind of lets the game dictate itself here, and it may be deferring a little bit too much when he needs to probably.
So it's not about him getting tired as the game goes on?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, listen, in Dallas, you had probably a little bit better pieces around him. I know you do have LeBron, but I still think he's trying to figure this out. Mid-season trades are the hardest things to do because you're basically learning this offense on the fly.
And trying to figure out where do everybody fit? Where do I get Austin Reeves the ball? Where do I get Dalton Connect the ball? Where do I get Hayes the ball? LeBron's going to do his thing. I think he just got there. He is still figuring it out, but can he figure it out in time for the playoffs?
We're going to find out. We've got about a month before that happens. Meanwhile, the team that he left behind, the Mavericks, did they make a big mistake last night bringing back the Brow? It was here in Brooklyn. Are they better off going for a top draft pick instead of a spot in the play-in? We'll talk about what Dallas is doing. Plus, to the NFL.